Welcome to Daily Dive. Here's what's coming up. The NBA becomes the first major American sports league to suspend its season due to the coronavirus pandemic. Should other leagues follow suit? Plus, Oscar-winning actor Tom Hanks and his wife Rita Wilson both test positive for the coronavirus. We're going to dive into what they're saying on social media. And some colleges are suspending classes, asking students to pack up and go. We want to hear your thoughts. The Daily Dive starts right now. All right, a very good Thursday morning. Hey, Miss Katie J, how you doing?
Good.
Stephen Fundero. I'm calling you Steven today.
Steven.
That's big. I think my girlfriend's the only one who calls me Steven.
Oh,
Yeah,
serious.
past and present.
Oh,
So
excuse
that's big,
me.
yeah.
No, we have a pretty heavy show today. It's all about the coronavirus.
That's what everybody's talking about.
I don't know what happened, but overnight everything just went crazy all of a sudden.
Especially with our hours sleeping. Like, I don't know if you guys, I went to bed
Yes.
6, 7 o'clock. I woke up, you roll out of bed, 1:15, 1:30, whenever you guys wake up. And then all of a sudden, it's like, what happened?
Yeah, all the
It's
alerts
like
on my
you
phone.
snapped your finger. And it was the night before, too. It was like that as well.
Yeah,
You know? So it's overwhelming a little bit. So I understand.
Story. Yeah, you're right. That main story that a lot of people are talking about, if you're just waking up or if you've been up for a little bit, the NBA now the first major American sports league to suspend the season. It has never been done before.
But that's after a player tested positive for it.
Correct. Yeah. So that announcement came right before the Utah Jazz and the Oklahoma City Thunder. They were right before tip-off, and then they realized that Rudy Gobert, he tested positive for coronavirus. So the NBA is going to use this time this time that they have off to figure out what those next steps are going to be. So we're asking you guys the question online this morning. Do you think other sports leagues should follow their lead? And I think, although everybody probably has their own different opinions, I think that this made it become a little more real to us. Right here in America.
And then also with classes being moved to
online.
online in many
Yes.
universities, maybe even elementary, middle schools in some cases, you're telling me that. I understand, Evelyn, by you saying it's overreacting.
Yeah, I want to comment on that too.
And I get we're overreacting, but there's got to be a point when you look, like, I'll use a weird weather analogy with this.
Okay.
A lot of times when we deal with severe weather or just weather, you look upstream. Whatever's upstream comes downstream, right? To learn how things are going to happen at your doorstep. You look at what's happening ahead to see what's coming downstream. We have to look to these other countries. Sure, there's different circumstances. They're handling them maybe differently. Maybe the healthcare systems are different. But you look at the number of cases, how things are being handled, and you go, okay, if that's how they handle it and that's how it ended up, what can we do to maybe mitigate that? And maybe this isn't overreacting. Maybe this is a proactive step that maybe seems like it's a reactive step. Maybe this is more of a proactive step. And then maybe because of this stuff in a couple months from now, this isn't anything. Maybe in a couple months it's, you guys remember the coronavirus? Do you remember the coronavirus? Oh, we overreacted. We did all this stuff that wasn't necessary. Well, maybe it's because we did those things. Maybe it was because of all the suspensions and things like that. So it's a very fine line and I guess makes you go, why not? Why not try this out?
Yeah,
We have the options.
a lot of people do comment this is overreacting. I disagree. I think that it's not overreacting because some of the important things right now, as we were talking about kind of behind the scenes too, is this is different than the flu. The flu, you know what it is. You know how it spreads. You have a treatment. You have a vaccine. Coronavirus, you have none of those things.
Yeah.
And basically the way you're not going to be able to stop it spreading. It's going to spread. It's slowing down the spread because if you don't, you're going to be overrun at medical facilities with people who are sick. And then that, of course, leads to it getting even worse because you don't have the amount of medical personnel, enough ventilators to be able to take care of it. So I think this is smart because, of course, we know that they have figured out it's spread respiratory. So if you're in a group and somebody's coughing and sneezing, that spreads. So stopping these events where there's going to be large amounts of people, it will slow the spread. And I think that's important.
But that's exactly what it is. It's about you have to think you're having thousands of people in an arena. What do you think if two people, test positive and they tap onto another 13 people and then that 13 taps to go to the concession stand and then they tap, like that's how it spreads. And that's exactly what they're trying to get away from. They want to make sure that does not happen. So, I see a lot of people even chiming in right now, and I was just going to read a couple of the comments and saying, yeah, people are overreacting so much. And then D saying, every year people died of the flu, regular flu, 2,000 people
But
die every year.
okay, that gets me because you know
Yeah.
what the flu is, and there's a
Right.
treatment for it. There's a vaccine that is different than the coronavirus.
And there's still so much unknown with this.
Right.
There's so much
Right.
unknown with this. Think about
Exactly.
all the advances we have in medical treatment and doctors, and they're still trying to figure it out. This has been, what, a couple months? How long has the flu been around? How long have we been able to study and analyze the flu?
Yeah.
Even with swine flu.
Is.
Swine flu was around for like a year. We had a whole year to analyze. How do we handle this? What's going on? What is this specific thing? I mean, it feels like this has been around for 2 hours, and all of a sudden it's like, it's nothing.
And it's more contagious.
We gotta figure this. So we gotta figure out what it is before we can take advantage. So, I mean, I get it. I understand because it can be overwhelming seeing all the headlines, and I get, but there's got to be a line when you say, okay, rather safe than sorry. I mean, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with that?
And maybe you're somebody who is not in an underlying health group. Maybe you are healthy, and that's great for you. But what about your parents? What about the elderly? What about your neighbor who has a child with leukemia? Like, it is part of our community responsibility to slow the spread.
It's one of those things, yesterday we talked about it during Daily Dive. And if you're just joining us, let me just kind of catch you up. So the 2019-2020 NBA season has been suspended until further notice, right? And they're saying just this season, but they really said until further notice. And the reason for that is because of the coronavirus, and that announcement came right before the Utah Jazz and Oklahoma City Thunder game last night after one of the players from the Utah Jazz tested positive. So it's got a lot of you guys talking online. And again, I've seen a little bit of everything from folks are overreacting. I've even seen some folks, kind of bash the media right now about a lot of things. But I saw one comment that I just have to share. I saw one comment of a guy who happens to be a journalist. He was like, well, look, the media just told you to wash your hands. I mean, we can't control the deaths. It's our part to truly just report the facts and just give it to you.
If we didn't tell you, then you'd say we were hiding it.
Right. But if we didn't, then that would be an issue as well. So I get it. I don't think people who may even be watching understand like how emotionally draining stuff like this is for us when we have to report on this all day, every day. Like if you've watched Good Morning Jacksonville, today's show was all about, probably a good 78% of it was about the coronavirus. Yeah. And it's something that we want to be safe ourselves. We want you all to be safe. So yes, you're right. We're pushing it. Wash those hands. Do what you can to stay away from places that you don't need to be in. But it's
stop
just something.
Buying all the damn toilet paper.
Well, that's not going to stop.
I know, right? Just come on. The
people are going to do that. So we're asking you all: do you think other leagues should follow suit? Like, should they be following the lead of the NBA? We know that the NCAA talk about March Madness. That's something everybody looks forward to. Mm-hmm. But there won't be any fans in those arenas.
Yeah,
they're
limited
saying,
family.
Yeah, they're saying literally just a close family and the staff that needs to be there. That's all that you're gonna have. Like we've never seen anything like this. So I think this kind of makes it a real for everybody who's keeping their eye on something like this, but also keep in mind it is so we can prevent the spreading. We have got to prevent it from spreading, and then it won't affect as many people. If
get a better handle on it.
Yeah, to get a better handle on it until researchers do everything they can. So Ansley is asking about refunds. I am not sure. I haven't seen anything about that yet, Ansley, but I'm curious to know if the NBA is going to be providing refunds. Now, a lot of people are talking about TPC and stuff like that. So we know TPC is still going forward, right? Mm-hmm. But they are saying if you just don't feel comfortable getting out there, you can request a refund.
Yeah. And I mean, I think that's fair at this point. Some people, maybe you are high risk, you're elderly, you don't feel comfortable going anymore. You can request a refund. They can do that now, but it is still going to go on as planned.
Can we request a refund for work and just stay home for like 2 weeks?
No, that's not going to happen.
Also, D mentions here, just saying, hey, just for 2 weeks, the NBA, just do your thing for 2 weeks until everything kind of settles down. And that kind of feels like an approach is just, hey, everyone just kind of lay low for the next couple of weeks.
Hang out at your house.
Hang out at your house a little bit more than you normally do. Maybe not go to the big events. It's just for a couple weeks. Maybe you keep clean your house. Make sure you're washing your hands. Make sure you're practicing good hygiene. You're staying hydrated. You're staying clean. Just keeping yourself healthy, and then kind of in that sense looking out for others, so you're not maybe spreading it that way. So it's just one of those things where I understand the whole, oh my gosh, it's overreaction, but at the same time, why not? We have the ability to kind of make these decisions to say, hey, you know what, let's take action and then let's see what happens, opposed to just
It's better
the
to be
worst
proactive
happening.
than reactive, rather
Yeah.
than to become a situation where you're in Italy and you're setting up makeshift hospitals because it suddenly be spread so quickly, so fast that it's hard to get a handle on it.
Yeah.
So it's better, I think, to be proactive in this approach than being reactive, because I mean, once it's spread, I don't know how you even get a grip on it.
Anne mentioned something about overreaction, just like with weather, including hurricanes. Well, and I'll just mention, I'll say something. If you have your hurricane kit ready to go at the beginning of the season, you don't have to worry about it when the weather goes south, because you're prepared, you're safe,
That's
and you're
me.
being
I'm
proactive.
always ready.
Right, you're always ready.
ready.
So why not be ready for a virus that we know maybe not a lot about? We're still trying to figure out. Why not be ready? What is that? How does that hurt everyone else? It doesn't.
Yeah.
It actually makes things a little bit easier and less stressful too.
And you can keep these
then you can
supplies for hurricane
Yeah,
season.
and then you could just enjoy the time that maybe you're laying low for a couple weeks.
I'm gonna add something to this, and you know, I'm born and raised in Jacksonville, Florida, so I'm a Florida boy, and y'all are from different spots, right?
Yeah.
So hurricanes have always been a thing here, and there was one point, even when I first, just honestly, when I first started working in this news business, I'm like, why do we go crazy over a small hurricane and stuff like that? But then there was that one, Matthew, that came and actually gave us a little taste of something, and then even being somebody from Florida, I had to remind myself, wait, this is why we do what
Hurricane
we do.
Michael,
Because,
remember that?
yes, oh my gosh. I mean,
Irma,
again, we have to remember that we've always been blessed, definitely in Jacksonville, to
With that
kind of
little bend,
miss
yeah.
a lot
That
of
little
different
bend.
things. We're not like a lot of these other cities where when it comes for them, it truly just comes for them, and then they lose everything. So we've been fortunate, but it is so important for us to understand that that's what our meteorologists are here to do. That's what our anchors and reporters are here to do, to make sure we gather you guys the facts. And even for something like this pandemic, it's important to know about it, because I know there are some people who are concerned. I know people were writing on Twitter yesterday, what in the world happened? They were literally just asking, just what happened, and why has it happened so fast? But things spread fast.
Yeah.
So as if we can get control over it right now, that's what we've got to do. So if that means canceling a couple of games and some sporting events, it is what it is. Now our producer David, so you're saying, so just to make sure I understand, so the NBA is issuing refunds? He's saying it to me in my ear. Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I'm sure they
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So for the games that were scheduled for Thursday and Saturday, they are giving refunds. We're unsure about some of the other games right now, so we'll have to. So Thursday as in today, and then Saturday. So we're waiting to see.
I'd be shocked if they didn't.
Yeah.
I'm sure they will.
All right, so let's get over here to this last one, because we're almost out of time. So we know some events and stuff like the Savannah St. Patty's Day.
Yeah,
I was going to that.
Go from that.
Huge,
We really,
yeah.
a lot of people
Well,
look
not
forward
anymore.
to that.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, that's been that. Yeah, the mayor calling it. He said, "Listen, it was a difficult decision that had to be made, and knew that it was probably going to upset some folks on either side. But you have to do what you got to do for precaution." So, colleges. Colleges are now, some colleges, I should say, are moving folks to online classes, some of their students to online classes, to keep some of that contact away, keep it from spreading. I have a friend from Penn State who is now here, going to be stuck here because they canceled those classes.
Yeah, that's my alma mater.
Do we think this is a pretty smart move?
You don't want it spreading throughout a school.
Exactly.
You don't want to be responsible.
Yeah, and it's a smart move to keep the education flowing. But at the same time, you've ever tried to learn climate dynamics online, or a little bit of differential equations online, thermodynamics online, calculus, that's pretty tough. So it's going to make things very challenging for the students, because I think as a whole, some people learn better online, some people don't. Some people want the connection with the TAs, the teaching assistants, the professors, all that stuff, the labs you get. So it's got to be challenging. It makes me ask the question, is it better to just maybe put a pause on the semester and then bump it back to when things are settled down, but then you're pushing back spring sessions,
then you
Maymesters, snowball,
You're
and then you
pushing back
snowball
a lot.
You know,
And some of the concerns, think about this. If this is your final semester in college, you are
You wanna be
excited to
done.
cross that stage with your cap and gown on. And now I'm curious to know what's going to happen because
Graduation ceremonies.
Yes, graduation ceremonies. Will they have to pull some of those like that? They haven't, said that just yet. But I mean, if they're taking everything away for the rest of the semester, it wouldn't surprise me if that happens.
Yeah, I know that we're talking about colleges and universities, but my sister, who's in Boone County, Kentucky, I woke up to a bunch of text messages, family text messages. So the actual K through 12 schools there have now gone to online education from March 16th when they come back until April 10th.
Wow.
So all of
So
those
that's a
kids have
month,
now
right?
been told to stay home. Yeah,
Wow.
for about a month, and that of course brings up like childcare situation. Like, what do parents do? But that school said because there's a state of emergency, I guess in that area, that's the situation of what they're doing.
And will
Boone County, Kentucky.
And will jobs? I think that's a question. Will jobs actually keep some of their employees home, especially like in some of these humongous Fortune 500
Google told
companies
people to
and
stay
stuff
home.
like that? Google, Twitter did as well. Twitter says
work
everybody has
online.
to work from home.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see, what some of the different businesses are going to start doing because they want, to avoid it from spreading. Something else I just thought about this morning, and again, this is just me talking. I was wondering, like, will grocery stores have to change how they do things because everybody's hands are on groceries and like you're picking out your produce and stuff like that. This is why it's important to wash your fruit, by the way. I know some folks don't like to do it. Wash your fruit.
Goodness.
Rinse the grapes off, the apples,
people coughing on them out there.
Renee is saying, she feels like a lot of us here locally aren't as concerned because maybe the testing isn't as much as other locations. And that just goes back to what we were saying about how little we know about this. So in a situation you don't know a lot about, it's better to be proactive than reactive. I mean, when you hop in a car with someone you've never driven before, what's the first thing you do? Put your seatbelt on. I don't know how this person's schedule. Oh, you should always wear a seatbelt, but you'd rather be safe than sorry. Just put your seatbelt on. Just wash your hands and stop buying all the damn toilet paper.
You have got to keep saying that. Michelle, University of Florida, we know about them going online
on Monday,
and then you have Heather that says she works in a bank. Hey Heather, working in the bank in Overland Park, and we're wiping down everything. Are too.
We're wiping down cameras, everything
down. So there's a couple things for you to always do. Make sure you wash those hands as often as you can. Keep some hand sanitizer. I believe in the washing hands too. Just listen,
just
if
in
you don't
case.
have water to be able to wash your hands, of course hand sanitize. But if you can wash, do what you got to do. Cover your mouth when you cough.
Please.
If somebody next to you coughs and doesn't cover their mouth, give them a good eye to let them know.
Yeah.
Or a sneeze, like come
Just
on.
Sneeze
Woo! It's like this is not the time we do this. I was saying this yesterday that a plane actually had to make an emergency landing because people went crazy after one person sneezed on the plane. So just
cover
be
your
careful.
mouth.
Just cover your mouth, and we won't have any issues. And that's exactly what it is. Who was this? Oh, Alicia said you keep talking about the numbers of those that died, but y'all aren't talking about those that have survived.
That's a really good point,
Matter of fact, a lot of people have survived. Thank goodness.
And there's a reassuring thing I actually did this morning. I went to firstcoastnews.com and found our interactive map, which shows all the cases that deal with coronavirus across the world, shows all the current numbers, and it also shows the people, that have passed, but also the ones active and the ones that have survived. And you look at some of the countries that have had thousands and thousands and thousands of cases of coronavirus, the survival rate and the recovery rate well exceeds those that still have it or have passed. So it kind of made me go, all right, once we figure out what this thing is, once we figure out how to handle it, and we get over the fact that the NBA is suspended, we're going to look back at this, slow down the rate of it, and go, okay, this was, maybe just a weird, funky virus. We figured it out, and we'll be okay.
I think
we just have to give it time.
Yeah, and I'm very glad to see that the survival rate is much higher. And you guys can text MAP to 904-633-8808 and get that link. I'm very glad that the survival rate is good. I think still the idea of slowing it down is slowing down the amount of people who need medical care. Because even if you do survive, and hopefully everybody would, you're still going to need some type of maybe some care, a doctor, maybe you need hospitalization, maybe you need a ventilator, and it's slowing down people needing all of those resources at one time. That's of course when we talk about social distancing and trying to stay healthy, that's what people mean. They're trying to slow it down. so that not everybody's rushing the medical field at one time.
It's like the Black Friday when folks rush open the door to Best Buy or Walmart, whatever, and it's like you have thousands of people, hundreds of people, thousands of people trying to get in the door at the same time. It's not going to happen.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Everybody
You know what I mean? Like,
it's
everyone
only so
slow
wide,
down,
right?
like, slow down, you know? So that, just think of it that way. You know, we're not, you know.
We're not saying you're going to die. We're just trying to say they're slowing. They're just trying to
they're
slow the
slowing
pace
it down, and this is what it's all about. Keep in mind, you know, we've seen some of those who have been, you know, 60 and up who haven't had the best luck with a situation like this, and some of them have passed. But keep in mind, everybody is not in the same health situation as you. So although you may be healthy, you may run every single day, you may have no issues on the inside. Good for you, but keep in mind there are some who aren't quite like that. So the more we can stop this thing from spreading, that is exactly what it's going to be all for us to get rid of it. And is there going to be a vaccine for this soon?
They said it could take up to a year, last I heard in a press conference.
Yeah, we're just hoping. We're just hoping right now. You know, I think we all could say we wish there was something today. But unfortunately, there isn't right now. So all we can do is hope and just hope there's going to be something soon. So remember, you can get all of that information. Text the word MAT to 904-633-8808. And then always on our website, firstcoastnews.com, we have the latest information that you need to know about coronavirus. Now, other than that, our time is up. And you should still get out there and make Thursday a great day. We're close to Friday.